Good day, everyone. I hope you're all doing fine. I am Claire Del Prado Alvarez of Unit 1, and together with my group mates, we will introduce you to educational psychology. Did you know that the word psychology came from the Greek word psyche and logos? Psyche means soul, and logos means science. Psychology was first defined as the science of soul. According to earlier psychologists, the function of psychology was to study the nature, origin, and destiny of the human soul. But soul is something metaphysical. It cannot be seen, observed, touched, and we cannot make experiments on soul. I think we can all agree to this one. Have you seen or touched a single soul? No. We cannot touch or see a soul unless we are at Kaluwag who can see things that our naked eyes cannot. In 18th century, psychology was defined as the science of mind. As stated by William James, psychology is a science of mental processes. But it was debunked because the word mind is quite ambiguous, as it causes confusion regarding the nature and functions of mind. Modern psychologists define psychology as the science of consciousness. Consciousness refers to the awareness of self and others. Hence, consciousness stands for inner experience of man, his thoughts, feelings, and memories. William Wundt defined psychology as the science which studies the internal experiences. It is intimate, deep, sacred sphere with intimate personalities reflected by a person, their positive and negative values, actions, contributions to joint, meaning making, most often in a person's life without any particular attention. In 1805, William McDougall defined psychology as the science of behavior. It was also agreed by Pillsbury and Watson. As is stated by R.S. Woodworth, first psychology lost its soul, then it lost its mind, then lost its consciousness. It still has behavior of a sort. Behavior means overt activities which can be observed and measured scientifically. One's behavior is always influenced by his experiences. When studying one's behavior, his experiences must be studied also. Why? Because human behavior is affected by his experiences in life. Like us, what we are today, it is because of our past experiences. Do you agree with me? Okay, thank you for answering. According to B.F. Skinner, psychology is the science of behavior and experiences on human beings. While from the point of view of Crow and Crow, psychology is the study of human behavior and human relationship. As we can see, psychology has different definitions and it all came to one. Psychology is an academic and applied field involving the study of behavior and mental processes. Psychology also refers to the application of such knowledge to various spheres on human activity, including problems of individuals' daily lives and the treatment of mental illnesses. Now that we have defined psychology, let us now define education. The word education originated from the Latin word educere, which means to educate or to draw out. Education encompasses teaching and learning a specific skills and something less tangible and more profound. Education is something that cannot be taken away from us. Education is not just something where we learn ABC. how to count, read and write, earning a degree, postgraduate degrees. Education is way more deeper. It is the imparting of knowledge, positive judgment, and well-developed wisdom. As educators, we have experienced the imparting of knowledge, positive judgment, and well-developed wisdoms. Students always remember their teachers for the wisdom that they have bestowed to them. Education of an individual human being begins at birth and continues throughout life. As they say, never stop learning because life never stops teaching. Educational psychology. Educational psychology is a branch of psychology that studies children in an educational setting and is concerned with teaching and learning methods, cognitive development, and attitude assessment. Educational psychology with examples include studying the most effective methods of teaching people with specific learning challenges like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD, dyscalculia or dyslexia. It has its objectives of understanding, explaining, predicting, and control effects like any other science. Educational psychology has also developed objective methods of collection of data. It also claims at understanding, predicting, and controlling human behavior. Educational psychology can influence programs, curricula, and lesson management approaches. For example, educators can use concepts from educational psychology to understanding and address the ways of rapidly changing technologies, which can both help and harm their students' learning. Educational psychology is partly experimental and partly applied branch of psychology concerned with the optimization of learning. It differs from school psychology, which is an applied field that deals largely with problems in elementary and secondary education. It is closely linked with comparative psychology, the branch that compares abilities found in non-human animals with humans. Sometimes learning theories are developed with humans and tested to see if other animals exhibit them or vice versa. The four types of educational psychology. There are four main psychology essences in human development and learning that inform the human development and learning that information education. Information processing, behaviorism, constructivism or cognitism, and humanism. These three specifications affect systems of education in distinct but equally important ways. Understanding the underpinnings of human development is crucial for educators. This is why one of the branches of educational psychology focuses on development. Being able to apply theories such as these developed by Jay and Erickson is crucial in optimizing education for children across all grades and development levels. Being able to apply cognitive and behavioral theories to education is also of utmost relevance. Operant and classical conditioning, subconscious learning behaviors, adaptive cognitions, and extrinsic motivation are aspects of learning that teachers should understand. These three branches allow educational psychologists to optimize education for students at all levels through thoroughly understanding student behavior, cognition, and development.
Now this part of which the nature of educational psychology. Its nature is scientific, as it has been accepted that it is a science of education, as stated recently by Peel. In short, it is a study of how people learn, including teaching methods, instructional processes, and individual differences in learning. Additionally, it explores the cognitive, behavioral, emotional, and social influences on the learning process. So we can summarize the nature of EdPsych in the following ways. First is that educational psychology is a science. And science as defined is a branch of study concerned with observation and facts. And moreover, by nature, it is treated as science. It deals with the study of an organized and systematic body of knowledge concerning human behavior of all kinds. It seeks to make its subject matter scientific and exact by utilizing special means and appliances. Educational psychology is a natural science. No? Educational, for example, an educational psychologist conducts his investigations, gathers data, reaches his conclusion in exactly the same manner as physicists or the biologists, while psychology in general deals with the behavior. Moreover, by nature, it is treated as science and behavior of all individuals in all walks of life. Educational psychology, on the other hand, limits its study to the behavior of the learner and repercussions if it were to continue unchanged. Therefore, in its study, it focuses attention to the problems, like the present. And educational psychology is a social science, like the sociologists, anthropologists, the educational psychologist studies the human beings in their sociability like any other social science. It investigates how education affects people's lives. Furthermore, educational psychologist does research, gathers data, and analyzes it, and draws conclusions. Nothing is assumed or accepted as true by educational psychology. It highlights that behaviors often have some specific explanation attached to them. And educational psychology is a positive science. Normative science like logic or ethics deals with facts as they ought to be, and a positive science deals with facts as they are or as they operate. Educational psychology studies the child's behavior as it is, not as it ought to be. So it is a positive science. So positive psychology deals with things as they are. It is not a science that deals with how things are supposed to be. And it examines a child's current growth and development. It never addresses whether or not the child should or should not do anything. And for the fifth is educational psychology is an applied science. It is an application of psychological principles in the field of education. It's like recently stated, it is the psychology and education to correlated to each other for the benefits in the growth and development of the children. By applying the principle and techniques of psychology, it is to study the behavior and experiences of the pupil. Moreover, it applies psychological principles and methods in the field of education, stated the knowledge of the growth and development of the child. Learning conditions and theories belonging to the field of psychology is used methods of teaching and school organization. As a branch of psychology, it is parallel to any other applied psychology. For example, developmental psychology, clinical psychology, abnormal psychology, and social psychology. And lastly, the educational psychology is developing or growing science. It is concerned with new and ever new researches. As research findings accumulate, educational psychologists get better insights into the child's nature and behavior. The nature of children may now be studied in the context of schooling. According to the research's findings, it is a discipline that is constantly expanding because it deals with facts as they are. Educational psychology is not a normative science like logic or ethics. It examines a child's character as it is and how they behave under various circumstances. Thus, educational psychology is an applied, positive, social, specific, and practical science While general science deals with behavior of the individuals in various spheres, educational psychology studies the behavior of the individual in an educational sphere only. Thank you.
Scope of educational psychology. There are five major areas of educational psychology. First, the learner. Second, the learning process. Third, the learning situations. Fourth, the teaching situation evaluation of learning performance. And lastly, the teacher. Now, let us know the learner. The learner equates us with need of knowing the learner and deals with the techniques of knowing him well. Followed are the topic studies included in it: the innate ability, the capability, the individual and their measurements, the overt, covert, conscious as well as the unconscious behavior of the learner, the characteristics of growth and development at each stage beginning from childhood to adulthood. Growth and development. It studies the principles governing growth and development. The insight provided by the study will help in scientifically planning and executing the learner-oriented programs of education. The learning experiences. It helps in deciding what learning experiences are desirable, at what stage of the growth and development of the learner, so that these experiences can be acquired with greater ease and satisfaction. Now let us move to the learning process. The learning process is knowing the learner and deciding what the learning experiences are to be provided. Educational psychology moves on to the laws, principles, and theories of learning. Other items in the learning process are remembering and forgetting, perceiving, concept formation, thinking and reasoning, problem solving, transfer of learning, ways, and means of effective learning. The learning situation and environment. It deals with the environmental factors and learning situations which come midway between the learner and the teacher. Topics like classroom climate and group dynamics, techniques and aids that facilitate learning and evaluation, techniques and practices, guidance and counseling for the smooth functioning of the teaching learning process. Individual differences. Universally accepted that every individual differs from every another individual. This idea has been brought to light by educational psychology. Personality adjustments. Education has been defined as the all-around development of the personality of an individual. If educational has to fulfill this function, all instructional programs have to be based on the principles governing the nature and development of personality. And lastly, the teacher. A teacher is a potent force of any scheme of teaching and learning process. It discusses the role of the teacher. It emphasizes the need of knowing thyself for a teacher to play his role properly in the process of the education. His conflicts, motivation, anxiety adjustment, level of aspiration. It throws light on the essential personality traits, interests, aptitudes, the characteristics of effective teaching, so as to inspire him to becoming a successful teacher. Guidance and counseling. Education is nothing but providing guidance and counseling required for the proper development of the child, especially in the light of the extremely complex and problematic situation one has to face in the growing world. Educational psychology has come to the rescue by developing principles and practical measures helpful by providing guidance and counseling. The functions of educational psychology is to provide a thorough knowledge of the nature of the child, to provide an understanding of the nature, aims, and purposes of education, to acquire familiarity with the technical vocabulary, and to further understanding and appreciation of the scientific procedures by which the data of educational psychology are obtained, to provide significant knowledge of developmental process with particular emphasis upon the promotion, guidance, and control of mental and moral aspects, to provide an understanding of the principles governing learning together with the knowledge of the techniques for guiding improvement in learning and their application to the practical problems of the classroom, to present theories underlying the measurement and evaluation of mental abilities, aptitudes, achievements, interest, and personality organization, to present the principles and conclusions regarding the prevention of all types of maladjustments, together with the approved practices of achieving satisfactory adjustments. Culminating functions to edge to inculcate in the prospective teacher in realization that the most essential purpose of teaching is that the student learn.
Good day, everyone. I am Cherry Atendido, and my topic for today is relevance of educational psychology to teachers, learners, teaching, and learning. So, the first one is to understand the stages of development. Psychology has clearly shown that human life passes through different stages of development before it reaches adulthood. So, it is important for a teacher to understand different stages of development of human life for several reasons. First, it provides much needed context for understanding how learners typically progress. Understanding child development also helps teachers assess the source of students' struggle. By looking at how children grow and what they need at different stages of development will also help teachers see a bigger picture of education. So the next one is to know the learner. The child or the learner is the key factor in the teaching learning process, right? So, getting to know who your students are as individuals can help you to provide an inclusive, respectful, and accepting classroom environment. Number 3 is to understand the nature of classroom learning. Educational psychology helps the teacher to adopt and adjust his teaching according to the level of the learners. Number 4 is to understand the individual differences. No two persons are exactly alike, right? We all differ from one another, not only in height, weight, color, appearance, but also in behavior. An effective and productive learning teaching process can be planned by considering these individual differences of students. The next one is to solve classroom problems. There are innumerable problems like truancy, bullying, peer pressure, ethnic tensions, cheating in tests, etc. Educational psychology plays an important role in helping teachers design a suitable learning environment. Teachers need to know how to create a positive emotional climate in the classroom. So, the learning process can be effective. A teacher should understand the classroom environment and its characteristic. Number 6 is to develop necessary skills and interest in teaching. Educational psychology helps the teacher to acquire and develop necessary qualities and skills to deal with the problems created by the pupils, maintain a healthy atmosphere in the classroom, and show concern regarding the progress of the child. Number 7 is to understand effective methods of teaching. Educational psychology has discovered several new approaches, principles, methods, and techniques of teaching which are very helpful in today's teaching learning process. Number 8 is to understand the influence of heredity and environment on the child. Educational psychology helps the teacher to know what the child is, the product heredity and environment.
Good day, everyone. This is Mera R. Andeza, and I'm going to discuss to you the continuation of the topic of Miss Cheryl, which is all about the relevance of educational psychology to teachers, learners, teaching, and learning. For number 9, to understand the mental health of the child. Educational psychology helps the teacher to know what are the factors responsible for mental ill health and maladjustment of a student and to suggest improvement thereof. Besides this, it also provides the teacher with necessary insight to improve his own mental status to cope with the situation. And to add, we, the teachers, must be mentally healthy for us to cater the mental problem of our learners. Number 10, to understand the procedure of curriculum construction. Curriculum is an integral part of the teaching learning process. Curriculum should be child centered and fulfill the motives and psychology needs of the individual because child capacities differ from stage to stage. In this matter, educational psychology helps the teacher to suggest ways and means to curriculum framers to prepare sound and balanced curriculum for the children. Number 11, to provide guidance and counseling. Today, guidance to a child at every stage of life is needed because psychological abilities, interests, and learning styles differ from person to person. Similarly, what courses of study the child should undertake in future is also a vital question. All this can be answered well if the teacher knows the psychology of the children. Number 12, to understand principles of evaluation and assessment. Evaluation is an integral part of the teaching learning process. How to test the potentialities of the child depends upon the evaluation techniques. The development of the different types of psychology tests for the evaluation of the individual is a distinct contribution of educational psychology. Number 13, to inculcate positive and creative discipline. The slogan of the traditional teachers was spare the rod and spoil the child. Flogging the child was the chief instrument. Now, teachers adopt a cooperative and scientific approach to modify behavior of the students. Emphasis is laid on self-discipline through creative and constructive activities. Number 14, educational psychology and research. Educational psychologists conduct research to improve the behavior of human beings in the educational situation. For this purpose, it helps in developing tools and devices to measure the performance and suggest remedial measures thereof. And for number 15, to know himself or herself. Knowing our own behavior is an important thing. Our own pattern, personality, characteristics, likes, dislikes, motivation, anxiety, conflicts, adjustment, and etc. All this knowledge helps them in growing as a teacher. And for number 16, educational psychology helps in professional growth, changing attitude, and innovate thinking. Inside the classroom, educational psychology has enabled the teacher to achieve proper conditioning of students by achieving and directing to classroom programs on human lives. Not only this, educational psychologists are busy in finding out innovations in the field of education. These innovations will bring about professional growth of the teacher. To conclude, we can say that educational psychology has contributed considerably to the creation of the modern system of education. In teaching, we are dealing with three elements: the teachers, students, and the subject. It has helped teachers, headmasters, administrators, inspectors, guidance and counseling workers, social workers to significantly develop an impartial and sympathetic attitude towards children and form them into integrated personalities.
Now that we have already defined educational psychology, its nature, scope, functions, its relevance to teachers, learners, teaching, and learning, let us now proceed to our assessment. It is very easy and we only have 5 questions to answer. Okay, number 1, what is psychology? Number 2, explain the meaning and definition of educational psychology. Number 3, explain the meaning and nature of educational psychology. Number 4, discuss the scope of educational psychology. Number 5, explain the nature and functions of educational psychology. That concludes the report of Unit 1. We hope that we have imparted something to you regarding educational psychology. This has been Claire Alvarez, Mariebeth Aquillo, Anthony Bartolata, Rio Alfornon, Cherry Atindido, and Mera Andeza, saying thank you for being with us.